Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to see State Board Class 8 Science Chapter number 6 Part 2. In Part 1 already we have discussed about the composition of matter, what exactly the compositions are. Then afterward we talked about the three different types of matters possible. One is an element, one is a compound, and the third one as a mixtures. Elements are nothing but the basic units, and the single type of atoms are present in that. When we talk about the compounds, compounds are nothing but the chemical combination of the two or more than two elements. And when we talk about the mixtures, they are not chemical compositions, they are just mixing of the two or more than two elements or the compounds or the element and compound. Any possibilities are there. After that, we had already discussed about the elements, how they are classified. Majorly, they are classified as metals and non-metals. Metals which shine on hammering or polishing, whereas when we talk about the non-metals, they are very brittle in nature. Means after striking on them or hammering them, they breaks into multiple pieces. So this kind of materials are called as the non-metals. These things already we have discussed in a previous part. So today's part we are going to see about the types of compounds. Generally, when we talk about the compounds, majorly we are classifying them as organic and inorganic compounds. Now, how to find out or how to make a distinguish between the organic and inorganic compounds? A simple concept or the simple way is that take a sample of a particular compound and heat it. After heating or after burning them, if there is a black residue, means if after burning or after heating, if there is a something left behind after the particular compound and that is a black color material, then definitely it will be a organic compound. And if nothing is left behind it, then it will be called as an inorganic compound. And most of the things in the nature, when we burn, we get a black residue behind it, which we call as a ash. And if there is a black residue left behind, then that will be called as an organic compound. The simplest way of finding out whether the particular compound or the material is the organic compound or the inorganic compound. So that only they have given in this particular section. And after that, after this inorganic and organic, there are the certain compounds which are very complex in nature. Because why we call them as a complex in nature? Because the multiple atoms or the multiple elements are present in the molecular formula. And in that, the number of metals are also present simultaneously in the same compound. And that's why this kind of compounds are called as the complex compounds. Further, when we talk about the mixtures, the next what we have to discuss is the types of mixtures. We have a different kind of a mixtures possible. Majorly, when we talk about this mixtures, we have two types of a mixtures: homogeneous mixture and the heterogeneous mixture. Now, what is this homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture? They have taken the example of the three different conditions over here. Before that, I just want to discuss about the if you have two containers, two glasses filled with a water, and you are taking a one spoonful of a salt and adding in one of the glass which is filled with the water, and in the other glass if you are taking a one spoonful of a sand and pouring in that, just stir the water present in both the glasses, and after stirring it for quite 2 minutes, you will find out that salt is dissolved in the water, but the sand remains as it is suspended in the water for a while, and after a few minutes, it all will settle down at the bottom. Means When we talk about the first case where we added a salt, we cannot make a difference between the salt and the water. We cannot make a difference. Salt is completely dissolved in the water. And this kind of mixtures are called as the homogeneous mixture, where we cannot make a difference between the constituents. Same way, if I'm talking about the milk and water, homogeneous mixture. Whereas when we talk about the heterogeneous side, we can make a difference between the constituents. Two different phases are possible. So this kind of a materials or this kind of a mixtures are called as the heterogeneous mixture. Here they have taken the example of the first beaker. Take some crystals of blue vitriol and water in the second beaker, and sand and water in the first one, vitriol and sand in the third beaker. So here when we talk about the sand and water, it's not going to mix up. So type of a mixture, it will be a heterogeneous mixture. Blue vitriol and water, if we are taking, then blue vitriol is soluble in the water. It will get dissolved in the water. So it will form a homogeneous. So second one will be a homogeneous mixture, and the third one is a blue vitriol, and the sand, it will remain as it is. So it will be also called as the heterogeneous mixture. Further, when we talk about this components of the mixtures and this in this actually the homogeneous mixture of two or more substances called solution. If you will see over here, the homogeneous mixture of the two or more substances called as solution, and in that two terms we have solvent and solutes. Now if you remember, then when I was talking about the water and the salt, then in that the larger quantity whatever we are having, that's called as a solvent, and the smallest portion whatever we are having, that we called as a solute. So larger portion what we had, water, so water will be called as a solvent in this case, and the salt will be called as a solute. So solute is in a smaller proportion, solvent which is in a larger proportion. And the mixture of the solute and a solvent is called as a solution. Solutions are a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Always keep this in mind. And it contains a solvent and solutes. Now, depending on the states of solute and solvent, we have a different kind of a solutions possible. Now, in that, the first one we are having liquid and liquid. Liquid and liquid means solute and solvent. This way of writing is nothing but a solute in solvent. Solute in solvent, always keep in mind. So if I'm saying liquid in liquid means solute is liquid, even solvent is liquid. If I'm saying solid in liquid means solute is solid and the solvent is liquid. So like that, on the basis of this, we have a different types of the mixtures or the solutions: liquid and liquid, gas and gas, solid and solid, gas and liquid. Liquid and liquid example we can take as a milk and water. Gas and gas we can take an example of air. Solid and solid we can take an example of a salt and the sugar, or the salt and the sand, sugar and the sand. Anything is possible. Gas and liquid, we can talk about the cold drinks. The cold drinks what we have, that cold drinks are nothing but what? The mixture of a carbon dioxide gas in the water. So like that, different types of mixtures are also possible. Next, another we have a suspension. Suspension is nothing but the heterogeneous mixture of water and sawdust was formed. Means what? Sawdust is nothing but the fine wood particles, and if that we are pouring or we are dropping in a water and stirring it, then that will remain suspended in that. It will not settle down at the bottom, it will be in the water somewhere. So this kind of a mixtures are called as the heterogeneous mixtures, where we can make a difference between sawdust and the water. When we talk about the suspension, the another important part is the diameter of the solid particles in the suspension is larger than 10 raised to minus 4 meter. Means if it is more than 10 raised to minus 4 dimensions of the solute, then only it will be called as a suspension. Otherwise, it will be called some other type of the mixture. Further, next when we talk about another one, we are having as a colloid. The diameter of these particles is around 10 raised to minus 5, means smaller than the suspension. If we have, then it will be called as a colloid. It will be a heterogeneous mixture, no doubt, but then it will be called as a colloidal solution or the colloid solution. Further, they have given about the compounds, the composition of the compounds, and writing of the compounds. So that molecular formula and valency we will see in the next part.